Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone can chant.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes, Prabhu, we can start now.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, I see it live on YouTube. Is that by mistake?
It's a private live, Prabhu. Not
Okay, that's okay. Fine. Hare Krishna, all the devotees and our club members of the spirituals, and we're discussing the leadership lessons from the Bhagavad-Gita. And last time we discussed about the army arrangement and how, although the Kauravas were more in number, but the motivation was not really there. Everybody was having their own agenda for being at their workplace on the battlefield. Unlike the Pandavas, who also had their own uh, smaller motives to be achieved, but that was all in support and in pursuance of the dharma. So there was more synergy, as you know, that in the waves there is resonance. When two waves meet, then 1 plus 1 doesn't become 2, but it actually it becomes amplified. It becomes 4. And but when there is dissonance, when there is no harmony, when there is no center point on which they can agree upon, then it creates then most of the energy within an organization, within a group, is sucked by the internal fights that happen. And this was very much evident when Karna was when the Bhishma was choosing different warriors to be set up in different places. Then Bhishma, he didn't select Karna. In fact, he said, "I don't want Karna on my side or to be active when I'm fighting, because I consider him to be Ardharati. For everyone else, he was giving great glorification for their qualifications. But when it came to Karna, he said Karna is Ardharati. He is not capable to even fight half the chariot. Ardharati is half the chariot. That means even if that charioteer is not so expert, still Karna cannot defeat him, which is quite a statement, because Karna was also a very great warrior, almost equal to Arjuna in terms of his skills. But still, Bhishma didn't give any value to his skills, because he knew the curse that Karna had. And that curse was that in times of actual need, in times of actual risk, when there is the need, then Karna won't be able to really use his knowledge. This was a curse that his guru had given Parashuram, because he had taken this knowledge not in the authorized way, but by not telling him that he is not a Brahmana. He's actually Kshatriya, or the son of a Kunti, the Radha and Atirata. And Parshuram, he cursed him. You all know the story that Parshuram was laying on the lap of Karna, and when when a scorpion came to bite, then Karna didn't want to disturb the sleep of his guru, so he tolerated that pain. And as soon as the blood started to flow and touch Parshuram, he immediately got up, and he saw that the blood of thigh of Karna was oozing so much blood. and he was tolerant. He was just serving his guru. So although Parshuram appreciated that personal that kind of mood that Karna had, but he didn't. Immediately understood that this person is not a Brahmana, because Brahmanas cannot tolerate so much physical pain as much as Kshatriyas, especially if something is torturous like that. So he said that I will taken a vow that I'll only train Brahmanas, but you have come in the guise of a Brahmana, but you are not a Brahmana. You seem to be a Kshatriya who is tolerating so much, and he cursed him. And his curse was that all the knowledge that I taught you in times of your actual need, when there is a need for you to implement it, it won't be useful. And Karna was devastated, and he could prove so many in the exhibition matches and so many other places that he was quite capable. But it actually came for him to conquer something, or where there is a need, like uh, when the Guru Dakshina time was there, when Dronacharya wanted Drupada to be conquered. That time, although Karna was not a disciple of Dronacharya, still, because he was already favored by Duryodhana, he went along to fight with Drupada, along with the Kauravas, and he was defeated. Although he had skills, but because he had not taken those skills in the right way, those skills didn't actually help him. And Bhishma knew this, and therefore he said he is Ardharathi. He is not of much use, although he is quite capable otherwise. And we know some of us have this, that in casual times we can exhibit our skills very well, but in times of actual criticality, then of course here in terms of Karna had this curse, so he kind of had a brain fade. He just forgot everything that he learned, and we may have also have that brain fade in times of actual criticality, when because of stress, as they say, that thinking on your feet, and or acting on your feet, which is a very necessary skill for a leader to have, for a warrior to have, which Karna lacked, and therefore Bhishma rejected him. So when Bhishma kind of said he's Ardharathi, he's not even qualified to fight one person, Karna felt so humiliated that Karna backed off from the battle. And he said, till Bhishma is fighting, I am not going to take part in this battle. I don't want to just fight in as a normal soldier. I want to have a prominent position. And because he didn't get a prominent position, he backed out. And herein you can see how much friendship did Karna actually have for Duryodhana. If he actually cared for his friend, on the battlefield, it doesn't matter what position you carry. Of course, in terms of influencing and strategizing, position matters. But in terms actually doing the task, sometimes a great battle can be won even by a small pawn, as you see in the chess. Some chess, the pawns are sometimes seem to be not having so much power, but if well executed and if they are daring enough to go forward in a meaningful way, then they can actually make you win the chess game. Same way here, Karna didn't want to be just a pawn, just a normal soldier. If he wanted a position, and sometimes we think that I can only create influence when I get that position, which is true to some extent. But then we only get positioned by the character that we show to the world, to our seniors. And so when Karna backed off, one thing that showed very clearly was that Karna was mainly concerned about his fame or his position rather than his friendship. So till now, it seemed that Karna was willing to do anything for his friend, and the whole world portrays that kind of uh, uh, picture about Karna. That Karna was a very loyal friend. But just before the battle began, because of Bhishma's words, it exposed Karna, and Karna immediately backed off. And this is one tells that uh, leaders, sometimes businessmen do with their children, that they want their children to be in their business, but not with any position. I know one. There was some article about a business family that has been active since say 300 years, and they ensure that their children get best of the education. But even though they get the best of the education, what they do is that they send their children to work at the lowest level of the company. And so this particular firm had a business of selling some commodities, and those people, the salesperson that actually goes to door to sell. So he was given that task, although he was potentially the owner of the entire industry. So he was sent to a remote village where no one really knew who is this person as a sales guy. And this man, this boy had done MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. And so when he was selling, of course, it was very difficult for his ego to take it. But because he knew this is what it will need to go for me to go through to be a proper leader, he went. He was doing it. And the story says that once he was sitting at a tea stall, and as he was sipping tea, there was a father and son that came there. And the son was not willing to go to the school. And then immediately the father chastised him that if you don't go to the school, you'll become one of these sales guy. And which was, of course, he immediately wanted to prove himself, but then proving himself will again, defeat the purpose for which he came, to really know what at the ground level the people in the organization go through. And Krishna was very much willing to be not a prominent person. He was willing to be a charioteer, and charioteer was not just for the for the namesake that only when he had to drive the chariot he was a charioteer, but the whole role that he took was to be in that position and to associate with those people that are driving chariots. And Mahabharata says that after the battle was over, it was Krishna's job to ensure that the horses were fed, the horses were clean, and the grass was put, and if they lay any dung or bore, to remove all that, and to clean the entire chariot and to keep it ready for Arjuna to come and board it. It was not just a nominal job that okay, uh, everything is set and the leader comes just to broom the to show to the public and then he goes again. No, he was actually doing every task because Krishna didn't mind about what position he carries in that in people's view, but he just minded that in whatever way I can help my friend, my relationship, I'm willing to help. But Karna didn't have that. He wanted a position to serve, and but Krishna didn't need a position to serve, and which is a very critical way by which we can know who are the actual people that are with us, by seeing how do they behave when their position is being affected or when they lose their position. Are they still willing to serve? And honestly, None of us will have that kind of loyalty and dedication to an organization where we are working just for money. But if we cultivate this principle and see what is the purpose of the towards a dharmic centered life, a dharmic centered world, and if I can help this particular work that I am doing, if it can help to support dharma, either through my work, the results of the work, or the benefits of the work in terms of the money that I'm getting, then we will have that motivation to how can I contribute best and where can I contribute best. It's not that Karna, he thought that I can contribute best not being in the army and being away. No, he wanted a position, and because he was not getting that position, he just rejected to be in the army. And only after Bhishma died, which was 10 days of the battle, did when and when Dronacharya came to power, he invited him, and because the relationship was not so troublesome, Karna accepted, and he was again given a prominent position in the army. So today I wanted to. This is another point about uh, how do we gauge our own involvement with either ISKCON or any place that we are serving. Are we like Karna or are we like Krishna in terms of our dedication? And the first word of the Gita, that if you open Veda base or is Dhritarashtra Vach. And Dhritarashtra is usually Gita is known as a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, but in the in the first verse of the Gita, neither Krishna speaks nor Arjuna speaks, but it is in fact Dhritarashtra that speaks. And Dhritarashtra, he speaks this word Dhritarashtra Vacha. Uh, and then Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta Yusava. Of course, we're going to take some more marriage leadership lessons from the different verses of the Gita and different concepts that are there. But today I wanted to focus on Dhritarashtra's mindset and how a leader, when he is blind to the troubles of the public, then he'll become like Dhritarashtra, who just is not understanding the situation that he has created because of his attachment to his sons or his potential position winners. Uh, again, the thing that I told about Karna and Krishna, both Karna and Krishna came from a very humble backgrounds. Krishna was raised in Vrindavan, a village, and Karna was also raised. So it's not that they didn't had an understanding of the ground level, but they didn't. One saw that as the greatest value in life, to be simple, to be connected with people that are not having any motive and dealing with. And another is that he hated such a simple life, and he wanted to be in the limelight, in the talk of the town. And Dhritarashtra, he, being born as the son of a king in the royal dynasty, he also never had interactions in the or the ground level experience of what it means to be a citizen, and how Duryodhana is torturing, or how his mindset is going to affect the citizens that he is going to rule. He only saw from one side. So blindness has many perspectives, and one kind of blindness is one-sided view, and this happens many times that we hear a issue happening, around us, and we only hear from one side, and then we conclude. And Dhritarashtra, he only saw from the ruling side. Wow. And he preferred that if his children ruled, then he'll have more position. But he didn't see from the other side what will happen. And so, just like said, God has given us two eyes, and because we need to see from both perspectives, from the giver perspective and also from the taker perspective. As it said, yes, I want to give some donation, but then from the taker's point of view, will it be something that will be helpful for him? Near our temple, there is a bar, Sapna bar, and sometimes the people who come out of this bar, they give to the drunkard some money, and and most of the times, the money that is given is not used for the proper purpose. In India, some time back, there was this Griha Yojana scheme where all these beggars were given homes so that they could live properly and not crowd the streets. And but these beggars were so used to living on the streets that what they did was they either rented those houses that they had, or they sold those houses and came back again to those street life. So it's not just okay, I'm giving, but what is the effect impact that is going to have on the giver, on the taker? That is also to be seen. And so the blindness is defined as the gap between the intention and the impact is a blind spot. The intention is good, but the impact, are you able to see both the intention and the impact that is going to have? Otherwise, there is a saying in English that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Our intentions may be proper, but if we don't have proper intelligence, proper way to survey everything, then with that one-sided view, just like uh, either it be vaccines or anything, that if you don't have complete view or complete perspective, uh, the whole thing that is happening with Ramdev Baba in India, that the Indian Medical Association, the one is claiming that allopathy is the all in all, and another is claiming that allopathy is bogus and Ayurveda is all in all. Both have their places, but then we just become blind to what we perceive as the proper thing. Now, there is an exercise that I want all of you to do, is that you see this plus and elephant on the screen. So, so what I'm going to do, what you all should do is cover your left eye. So cover your left eye and look at the plus sign and keep going forward. Have the vision only on the plus sign and keep going forward. Or backward. At some point, what you will observe is suddenly in your larger vision, the elephant vanishes, and all you see is just the plus and the place where there is the elephant. Uh, you see total white patch. Uh, if that is not working because of the orientation that my screen is, it mirrors. Let's try
No,
with looking at the elephant.
no, it is working.
Prabhu,
When,
it's
when I
working.
moved
Okay.
closer, and then when I came backward, somewhere in that position, it becomes the elephant vanishes, bro.
Yeah. At some point, the elephant vanishes. So if that's not working because of the orientation mirroring that happens, try the other way. Close your left eye and look at the elephant and either move forward or backward. Only look at the elephant, and you'll notice that in your larger view, in your side view, somewhere the plus vanishes. So this is a very and this is what is called as the in biological terms the blind spot, is that our eye, when it focuses on something, then it cannot observe everything else. But for it to create that illusion that it is seeing everything else, in the place of that elephant, what the eye did, what our brain did, it covered it with the other background that it is seeing. So you don't see a kind of dark spot at the elephant's place, but what you see is the background that is there. The white, it just, that whole place becomes white. Now this is more effective if you actually draw on a paper, on a big paper, because the screen may be small, you'll not notice it. But if you draw it on a paper, I think I did this exercise with someone else. Hmm. Yeah, we draw it on a paper, a plus and a dot or any image, and just take it forward and with only one eye. You'll see that somewhere the other image vanishes, and and vanishing is okay. But what the eye does, it cheats itself by thinking that it is seeing everything because it covers with the background of whiteness. Now, this may be white background, this may be a rainbow background, any color background. It will cover that with that same color that the background that it is seeing in other places. And Prabhupada always uh, told that we cannot perceive complete knowledge in this world with our eyes, because first of all our eyes are imperfect. The eyes cannot see, can only see in the visual range, and beyond the visual range, visible range, uh, it cannot see. That is one thing. So they say that we are only seeing 1% of the reality that is actually present in front of us. So therefore, to truly trust these eyes is foolishness. And apart from the eyes being defective, Prabhupada says that when we have defective eyes, when we have defective senses, whenever we use some kind of defective tool, then the effect of it will be something, there will be some kind of mistake that is done. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada said that because we have defective senses, we will commit mistakes. Sorry, because we have defective senses, we'll perceive improperly. Our perception will be not be proper, and because our perception is not proper, we will commit mistakes. There will be improper vision that will be there, and so we saw till now that there was improper vision, that the elephant vanished. But what the brain does is that it doesn't want to accept that it is not seeing fully, so therefore it cheats itself. This is called as self-deception. It cheats itself by covering the area with a whiteness. So although there is the elephant in the room, you're not able to perceive because you are convinced that what you are seeing, that plus sign or whatever you're focusing on, is what is the reality. So, and this happens not just with visual objects, but also with our desires. When we are focused on one particular desire, or here in Dhritarashtra, he was blinded by his desire. It was, Prabhupada says, it was not just blindness of the eyes, but it was blindness of the desires. And he was so focused on fulfilling his desire that he was not able to see the impact that it will have on the others. And this kinds of blindness or blind spots in leadership is very troublesome. It's actually going to devastate the entire company. There is a story of George Washington. George Washington, as you know, he had formed the United States, and towards his fag end of his life, he retired from all governance, and he just took an estate in the Mount Vernon, and he was hunting there. He was living in the woods, and as winter approached, he was still going to the woods, and one day he started to feel a lot of cold in his feet. Of course, he tried taking hot coffee and other things. It still didn't work. And then he asked his wife, who his fiancée who was with him, to do a technique called as bloodletting. And bloodletting is to cut one of your veins and to let the blood flow out of your body. And this was kind of one of the practices that was there in the olden times, where from the Aristotle, who kind of propagated this, who said that sometimes there is infection in the blood, and therefore if you let the blood go out of your body, then you will become all right. And his actual the reason for which he was his whole feet and everything was cramped up was because of the cold weather that which he was going in. But he used a standard technique that he was used to, or he knew, of bloodletting. And then he called some doctors, and he also told the doctors that I think my blood is has become infected and it needs to be taken out. So in those 2 days that he was sick, almost half of the blood that George Washington had was let out willingly by cutting his vein. And if half of the blood is taken out, will the person survive? He died. This is still a debate why George Washington died. But these kinds of beliefs that people carry, and George Washington was not a dumb man. He was a great leader, somebody maybe may not be a dharmic leader in the way that we perceive in the Vedic times, but he he led this great war against the British, who were again trying to take over the United States, and the Boston Tea Party and other things. And such a influential, such an intelligent man, because of his beliefs that he carried, he just submitted himself to death. And this is again a example of a blind spot that he had, that he his beliefs. And beliefs are one of the strongest blind spots when we don't verify whether these beliefs are proper. Of course, later these kinds of traditions of bloodletting was stopped. In India, there is a technique of bloodletting, but that is with the leech. In Ayurveda, there is a therapy called as leech therapy, where you put a leech on place where you feel you have pain, like say if your knees have a pain, then you put a leech there. And when you put a leech there, the leech sucks your blood. It's a bit painful, but the speciality that a leech has is that the leech only sucks the bad blood that is there in your system. And this is a great technique, great method that is used for knee pain, for any specific place where you are having pain, or for boils that people, sometimes kids have, because the blood becomes impure. And this leech technique sucks the blood. Some people have back pain. There is some kind of spasm that they have, and I've seen in Bhaktivedanta other places, an expert knows where to put the leech, and once the blood is sucked by the leech, then the leech is removed. And so the bloodletting is a, but it has to be done in the proper way. But unfortunately, only partial knowledge was taken by the Western thinkers. I don't know where they got it. Might be sometimes it worked because they might have actually cut the right vein where the blood was impure, and by letting that out, some people might have got well. But that technique won't work, because you have to understand the principle, and the policy or the process that works at one time may not work. And Dhritarashtra was fixated on this, that he wanted this position, and He didn't bloodlet his own body's blood, but he bloodlet the entire the 64 crore soldiers' blood, because of the belief that he carried, that I want to have power, and only when I have power, I will be happy, I will be secure. Position is only a way by which you feel security, and that is not a hunt. That is not a all the time true statement, but sometimes we tend to believe money will give me security, this will give me security. Bhagavatam explains this, Atma Sanyesheshu Asaswapi. We think that these armies, these Sainya that I am increasing in my life, these are the things that will give me security. But unfortunately, George Washington bloodlet his own body, and here Dhritarashtra, he bloodlet the entire soldiers. And Duryodhana speaks this, that Mother De Tyaktva Jivita, that for my sake, all this will, or these are willing to let down their lives. So, some of the common blind spots that leaders carry, I just wanted to, because what we perceive, what the, as I said, one-sided vision is also blindness. What we perceive, what the leaders perceive, may not be what the team is perceiving, may not be what the society around you is perceiving. So there are around 4 blind spots that we need to be aware if you are ruling, if you are administering someone in a leadership position. And this is what we can learn from Dhritarashtra. There are great researches done in psychology about this blind spot. There are many books that are being that have been written on this blind spot syndrome. And I've been reading that through, because one of my interests is to connect the scriptural understanding with the modern research that is there, because that gives an entire new perspective and more depth to what is going on in the scripture. This is one from one particular research that was done. So the leader may be perceiving that I am hardworking, but what is the team's perception? The team's perception is that the leader thinks that no one is good enough to delegate this important work to. So sometimes you see that the leaders, they're working very hard and they're thinking that I am setting the right example for all my team to work to. But the team may be seeing that this person doesn't give us the important work because he doesn't have confidence in us. And because he doesn't have confidence in us, why should we actually put our full heart? So although the leader may be working hard and he's thinking that I'm setting a right example, but the team's perception may be that he doesn't delegate important work, and he doesn't have that confidence that someone can perform better or equal. And this happens sometimes that someone whom we are training, say the mother is teaching the daughter how to make chapatis. Obviously the daughter initially will not make proper chapatis, all kinds of world maps will come. But if that is not allowed, just because she is not good enough, if the mother keeps making chapatis, what will happen is that the daughter will never learn to make proper chapatis. The same thing happens with the leadership, that we never allow, we never give charge to others for them to actually make mistakes and to learn from that. And so this is one blind spot that leaders have, that I am hardworking and people should also work hard, but then the others perception is not the same as your perception. And if you're not humble enough or honest enough to know what's happening on the other side, all your hard work will not actually inspire others. It will make them more and more feel that this person never gives me uh, has trust in me too, that I can also do this. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada did this, that as he was managing leadership position, he also gave leadership to his disciples and asked them, and at one point he said that I don't want to be in the GBC anymore. I want all of you to actually take decisions, and you can all consult me, when there is a need. But sometimes till the fag end of our till we retire, we are just taking decisions, and that especially taking those decisions, ensuring our children or subordinates actually grow to be a leader is never taken up. As they say, success without a successor is a failure. And most companies have this, most organizations have this trouble, that they have success, but because they have not come up with good successors. Like right now, Sadhguru is very prominent in the spiritual domain. But then does he give other any of his subordinates a chance to be in the limelight or carry along with him? You'll always see just him being in the limelight. No offenses to him, but this is a bad strategy to carry. But you will see sometimes the Prabhupada, he asked his sometimes in his presence his followers to give classes, to go and give lectures, and sometimes as he was speaking to, for others to translate, or he wanted his subordinates to his follow disciples to write books or take leadership positions. So this is a common blind spot we tend to have, which we should overcome. Next is that I care for others. That is what a leader's perception is. But the team's perception may be that you have got your favorites, and you have a distractful inattention to boundaries. So sometimes you're caring for those whom you like, what you may be thinking is that they themselves, you cannot obviously give attention to everyone in the company. You'll have to select few that whom you can give time, but then it is your duty that they should give on your behalf time to others, if possible. Like Pejawar Swami, the uh, leader of the Udupi Mutt for long time, recently passed away. What he used to do is that, along with having a like strong inner circle, he also used to spend time with every batch of the Gurukul. So with every batch, he used to spend of 2 years teaching them. So he didn't need to teach. He had trained others to teach other subjects, but one particular subject he never stopped teaching till the last days of his life. He always went and to interact with the newest of the children that were there, and that gave that understanding that this leader, he actually cares for all of us. Otherwise, why will he take out time to come and teach us this subject, different Vedic subjects? Otherwise, this perception will come that the leader has his favorites, he is giving time only to them, and they themselves are not giving that time, or he is not really interested. Although we may want to get his time, he is not really interested to uh, hear to us. so other, so the leader may be having this feeling that I care for others, I care for everyone, but that may not be the perception that is understood on the other side, which is again a blind spot, which will create schism, which will create uh, uh, dissonance in the team. So another blind spot is I have a passion for order, that I want everything to be systematic, and I'm very much for that. But the other side, the perception may be you are a control freak and suffocate everyone by being a maniac of control, because you want everything in order. So in putting everything in order, you control people so much, you troubles people so much that they actually feel suffocated. They don't have their own space to work or act the way they would like, because you have an way to work. So they want you want everyone to work that way, because you think that's the best way to actually bring out the best products or the best systems, which is again, uh, so you are thinking that you are very systematic in your approach, But the other side, you're thinking that you are actually control freak. And this all happens because of lack of understanding on the both sides and lack of relationships that is between the team and between the leader. And the last one is that I'm open and honest. This is most leaders will say that I'm very honest and open. But the other side, yeah, the perception may be that you only want the good news. No one, and I mean no one, can challenge you on anything. And we have seen this time and again with us that once we have an idea or an okay, this market, this place, this strategy will work. Uh, Anybody that comes up with any other strategy, any other thing, that you tend to justify why your vision is the best, and you don't hear anyone. So although you may be thinking that I'm very open, that openness is only in hearing, but not in analyzing. So not in analyzing or seeing that maybe I'm not thinking fully well, and so therefore the perception that you carry may not be proper. And many times people lose out, the companies lose out, organizations or spiritual movement loses out, because although the leaders think they are open and honest, they are not really there because they're fixated on their opinions or their ideas. And there's another thing that you only want the good news. So whenever there is some kind of news that is shared, this story is told about Hitler, that anybody that came to Hitler with any kind of bad news or a warning or kind of something that was not proper, he used to punish those that came with the bad news. That how can you think that this can happen with my army? And you're only seeing the negativity with uh, that's there, that's not there. You should see positive. And so anybody that came with any kind of negative news, Hitler used to either chastise them, criticize them, or sometimes punish them, that how dare you speak like this about my army, because in those days there was no way to verify whether some news that came was true or not. So his perception was that my strategy is so perfect that it cannot go wrong. And if somebody comes with bad news, then you will doubt the messenger. And he used to punish the messenger. So eventually, what happened was with Hitler, that nobody came to him with any bad news. It's not that bad news was not coming, that army is losing or something, but nobody wanted to get troubled by sharing the bad news, because Hitler would punish the messenger only. So when we punish the messenger, when we punish those that are conveying the trouble that is there happening in the company, sometimes these are called as whistleblowers. Sometimes they are seen as arrogant people, that people that are not subordinates, people that are speaking wrong things about us or about the company, and then we tend to punish them or defame them, that this person is not really seeing what the good that is happening. And with Hitler, what happened was with the St. Petersburg episode that happened. So although they were going in the wrong weather to fight Russia, that was in the winter time, that was a very bad strategy. But nobody, although some perceived this, nobody was willing to, because Hitler was so fixed that I want to conquer the world as soon as possible. He was so confident about his army, because he had trained his army so well that even when they were walking, he, they could sleep. So he used to make his army walk in the night, and as they were walking, they used to sleep. So some of us have this siddhi we can experience in our chanting, that no, we are chanting and we are also sleeping, or we are walking but we are still sleeping. Uh, so Hitler trained his people so well that that they can sustain anything. He didn't really analyze whether the weather is proper. And Krishna speaks this in the five factors of success in the Gita. Adhishtanam, the place where you are going to execute your task, is very important. If the environment doesn't support, is not supportive, then no matter with the best of the strength that you will carry, you will not be victorious. So, so when we have these blind spots that our perception about our own self, that I am hardworking, I am a very caring person, I am very systematic, I am honest. And with this perception that we carry, when we don't see the other side, whether this is what the others perceive or not. And so in this way, the elephant in the room is missed and we camouflage it with our own perception. And that way, we bring out a situation where the team is totally split, or we are actually supporting our own desires like Dhritarashtra, which is what happened in the beginning of the battlefield, that Dhritarashtra is speaking with one-sided vision or totally blinded by his desires, which is the reason why schisms or wars happen. And so let's learn from Dhritarashtra's blind spots that he had, or the leaders tend to have, and let's avoid them, both for our spiritual progress, for helping our organization go further. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here and see if any of you have any stories to share or any perceptions, discussions that you have about what we discussed today.
Prabhu,
Hare
thank you
Krishna.
very much for this wonderful class. I think most of us in our industry, we go through this day in and day out about, either with the management or from the resources. So these things, like, a very practical examples you gave. I have one doubt, Prabhu, like how to deal as a leader, how to deal with the with when your subordinate or the colleagues who are working with you, so they tend to like put up something like the karna thing that you were mentioning, because how Bhishma pointed out that he was Ardharati. So similarly, like we often face that, let's say if there is we want to give an opportunity to some resource, and that resource is not able to understand that a lead is giving him an opportunity to I mean, he himself will grow, that is for him, for his benefit only. And he tend to react saying that like for example, like if he's an SSE, then he will say, like, once I become a team lead, then I'll perform. So rather it should be, in industry it works in a reverse way. So though if you are capable of doing, then you are promoted to the next level. So how to deal with this type of resource?
uh, the ancient way was these stories that were there in the scriptures. What they used to do was what they used to portray these stories by the third party stories, stories where you are not involved, and that way you understand the point that, hey, I cannot just keep demanding, and the impact and the aspect of contribution and growth comes from the ground level, from the root level, growing from there, and also giving that kind of security. As there is that joke that one of Gaur Gopal shares, that once a man was searching for the best MBA college to join. So he went to the one went to one MBA college, and he asked the watchman there that what is the prospects of this MBA college. And the watchman said, it's a very good college, I passed out from here only. So when others speak wrongly, or when you are actually not empowering others, you're not, in the name of empowering, you're just keeping them subordinate for long periods. Then people will naturally speak this way, that there is no proper growth. So therefore, you may be placed there, but he will not actually go up. And that's what Duryodhana Karna perceived, because Bhishma was not really having a affectionate side towards him. He didn't see that there will be growth in his to be working under him, and that's why he didn't submit. So partially he may be right, but if his purpose was to help his friend, then no matter which position he carried, he would have been willing to. But because his purpose was not to establish himself as a great warrior, therefore he didn't let he didn't join the Bhishma's army. So with our subordinates, one is to give them those who are those who have passed. One of the great motivations that happen with the lowest level is from the middle team, and often it is the middle team. It is not the senior most that inspire. It is not the juniors that can be inspired. It is the middle team. How charged up are they? How happy are they? And how do they talk about those who are placing them the senior most? That's what inspires the juniors. So the positivity just doesn't happen at once. It happens with 2-3 generations. That how when we positive properly, because example is the biggest precept. So when we set proper example, when we actually empower the right people, so one of the first things that should be done is recruitment. That what kind of people are we taking into the organization? If you are not taking proper people and then they are expecting us that they will be empowered, which is a wrong thing. So even in ISKCON, that sometimes there's a trouble that people are not truly screened for leadership positions or for team positions or in the ashram. And once they come into the ashram, one will come and then they expect leadership positions without having that capability or those skills or the character. Then that creates trouble. So training has to be there, but no, taking in proper people. Or if we are uh, for our children, to train them in those in all in character, in capability, in skills, in relationships, all around is an important aspect. So and also how the brother, like a younger brother is there, how the elder brother speaks about parents is a much bigger influence than what the parents may tell the younger brother. Okay? So to also work on the middle management, because often they become I have a slide uh, which I wanted to discuss next time. They become totally indifferent to what's happening in the company or what's happening with the actual mission. Only very few people are motivated, and others, and there are some that are so cynical that they're not just indifferent; they speak openly against what's happening. So this happens with the middle team, and and this is what should be avoided by actually inspiring them, by giving them the growth that they are looking for, but then taking the right people for the right job, which is another aspect which Krishna very brilliantly did in his life, which will also take some other time.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is Krishnan from Boston. I really enjoyed the class, Prabhu. In almost every point that you said, as the previous person said, is very relatable to our workplace. One point that you mentioned was so felt so realistic, which is about not wanting to hear bad news. This is a common thing in industry, Prabhu, where people, especially at senior levels, they don't want to hear any bad news, and what we see from there is then people under them, tend to not explicitly lie. Sometimes they explicitly lie. Sometimes they embellish what has happened, and then they share this again and again, and that creates a culture of now everybody around them also has to lie, because if four people are lying and the fifth person doesn't lie, then then their performance looks poor, and then they also start lying, and then this this culture of lying then it just continues. How to how to deal with such a situation, Prabhu? Or do we just take it as material life, and then things are going to be imperfect anyway? What should our role be in a situation like that, Prabhu?
Speaking the truth as it is, Krishna speaks about this in the 18th chapter, Anudvega Karam Vakyam Satyam Priyam Hitam Chayat. So often, sometimes what happens is either leaders or followers, anyone, every human has a capacity for negativity, how much negativity can be processed. And sometimes when the subordinates are just keep on pointing out faults, then they tend to portray the guy as being a negative rather than what is conveying as what is in trouble. So it's not a good practice to always keep speaking up every small thing that's happening. So there has to be that relationship of trust that we know, and the way it is that we should appreciate what's happening good, what is going good, genuinely, specifically, and then also what is a room for improvement, where can we improve. So instead of like Vichara Prabhupada, once he was asked that, Swamiji, this was asked by Bhaktisarup Damodar Maharaj, who was managing one of the sections of ISKCON called as Bhaktivedanta Institute in Los Angeles. So Prabhupada said that, Prabhupada was asked that, Swamiji, I'm just handling this one particular department, and there's so many issues here, so many problems that happen here. You are managing entire international society. So how many issues, how many problems you must be handling? So Prabhupada said that, problems? I don't see any problems. All I see is opportunities. So a problem can be seen as a problem, something, or it can be seen an opportunity to work. Like recently, I'll share that I went to one program, not before lockdown, and it was a celebration, a birthday celebration, and the flowers were still being, nothing was ready there. So as soon as I went in, I immediately became upset that, hey, I come in from temple taking out my time and nothing is ready. And I saw it as that these people are not careless or are not so careful to make everything on time. So all these thoughts came. But immediately I remembered this. I said, why am I seeing this as a problem? I can see this as an opportunity to serve. That, hey, they need help for me to fix these issues, that their flowers need to be strung, the altar needs to be clean. So let me take part in helping rather than complaining about the problems. So sometimes when we are outsider, just mentioning about the problems, I can just I could have just listed what the prasadam is not ready, the flowers are not ready, the altar the dressing is not complete. But what it will do is, those leaders, those devotees that are there, that they'll just become either fearful of me or become demotivated. He's point. Does he know how much struggle we already went through in the morning to come to this stage? So rather than that, sympathizing what they are going through and willing to give a helping hand, and okay, let's improve. Yes, we acknowledge that there are problems, but let's speak in a positive way. let's speak in a way that there is scope for improvement, and let's speak in that way rather than speak. And this is a very delicate skill, the skill even that I don't have fully. But as Prabhupada, that sutra, that there are no problems in this world, there are only opportunities to improve or serve. And if it's present in that way, then we'll be more inspired to positively create an impact rather than in a fearful way try to avoid problems or solve problems.
Thank you, Prabhu. Your example was very, very useful. I think that is that gave all the answers. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is Thiru. Prabhu, we always say wonderful class, but Prabhu, this is very, more than that, Prabhu. There are few takeaways, Prabhu. Key points, something like about that blind folded view, and then success without a successor is a failure. So the success without a failure, I mean the successor, right, Prabhu? This is like building a sustainable model, right? So mostly when we have like a family oriented people, I mean the family lineage people, whoever is coming or running a business or owning an industry or owning any business, they always think about this sustainable model. They will coach the people. But when you in the corporate world, most of them will not think like that, Prabhu, because always they think that they want to create dependency on them, and they want to show to the complete leadership that without me everything will will not work. They will create a lot of dependency and credits to them. So there are few teams or few projects where the leader will think that even if I am going, the successor should able to run the project, that sustainable model they will think about, Prabhu. So I just want to share it here. It's very few people will think about the sustainable model and the successor, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, that's what is dharma. Dharma means that which sustains. So dharma is those principles, like one can be a king without following, one can be a raja without following raja dharma, but his being a raja will not actually be fruitful or be long term if he doesn't follow raja dharma. Same way, there is the putra. So the son is there, but if he doesn't follow the putra dharma, then his being a son will not be fruitful, will not be serve the purpose. Same way, being a leader, but if he doesn't follow the principles of Raja Dharma, then his being a leader will not actually help anyone in the long term. So if you want to really take something sustainably in a long way, either the planet Earth or our own health systems, then there has to be dharma. That's why the first purushartha that one needs to acquire in this world is dharma. So, because without
go back to zero and the struggle again starts.
So you are saying that building a successor, knowledge sharing, these all are like kind of a dharmic, right? I mean, we need to share the knowledge and skills, right? And also one more thing, Prabhu, how about you were talking about the Hitler and how he fielded the his soldiers at a wrong time, the snow or whatever that also shows that as a leader, how you need to field your team players, for under what situation you need to or who is best to handle that job, you need to assign to him and handle that. So
yes, Prabhu, Krishna,
also,
we'll discuss that aspect. Krishna brilliantly did that with the Pandavas, and how he inspired the right people to do the right things.
Yes, Prabhu.
So we'll take that some other time.
Yes, Prabhu. There's a lot of things to learn from our scriptures and Vedas, right? Both Ramayana and Mahabharata. It's a lot of
That's
things.
why those who knew these stories, any situation they that happened in their life, they could relate a similar situation happened in the scriptures, and what was the best way to go in that situation was known, and therefore they didn't panic. But now, because we are not trained in those, we kind of, we don't know what's the best to do. We go by our intentions. So there is no and the brahmanas that they used to take guidance also is lacking, and which is creating the trouble for growth.
Right, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your
Thank
time
you.
and wisdom that you are sharing with us.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.